In 1997, a researcher working in Kenya's Amboseli National Park watched a herd of elephants discover something in the grass: the bones of one of their own. The herd stopped. One by one, they approached. They touched the bones with their trunks, gently, carefully, the way you might touch something fragile and precious. They stood over them in silence. They stayed for over an hour. The elephant these bones belonged to had been dead for years. But they knew. What we know about the elephant's inner life has been accumulating for decades, and what it tells us is something that science is still working to fully articulate. The elephant is not just intelligent. It feels. Tonight, the science behind the most emotional brain in the wild. Start with the biology. The African elephant brain weighs approximately 5 kilograms. It is the largest brain of any land animal on Earth, but size, in neuroscience, tells you relatively little on its own. What matters is structure. The elephant's temporal lobe, the region that governs memory, emotion, and social processing, is proportionally larger and more elaborately developed than in almost any other mammal. The hippocampus is dense and richly connected in ways that map closely to the human hippocampus. Elephants possess mirror neurons, the cells that underpin empathy, and they pass the mirror test, the standard scientific measure of self-awareness. They recognize themselves. The list of species that have demonstrated this is short: humans, chimpanzees, bonobos, orangutans, dolphins, magpies, and elephants. This is not a simple brain running on instinct. This is a brain built for a social and emotional life of extraordinary complexity. The phrase "an elephant never forgets" is so common it has become cliché. The science behind it is anything but. Elephants remember the locations of water sources visited once, decades earlier. During drought years, herds have been documented traveling hundreds of kilometers to reach water that only the oldest individual has ever seen. Water she visited as a calf. They remember individual humans. Researchers have documented elephants distinguishing between humans who have harmed them and those who have not, responding differently to each years after the original encounter. And they remember the dead. In controlled studies, elephants were presented with the bones of deceased herd members mixed with the bones of strangers. They touched only the familiar bones. They moved past the others. Memory, for the elephant, is not a convenience. It is survival. And it goes deeper than survival. What happens when an elephant dies in the presence of its family has been documented across decades of field research. And what it describes challenges the boundaries of how we define grief. The family gathers. They touch the body, with their trunks, with their feet, with their foreheads. They stand over it. They return to it. In multiple documented cases, they have covered it with soil, with leaves, with branches, in what appears to be a deliberate act. Cynthia Moss, who spent 38 years studying the elephants of Amboseli, documented a mother carrying the body of her dead calf for days, refusing to leave it, trying repeatedly to lift it. Joyce Poole documented elephants approaching grieving individuals and making deliberate, comforting contact, touching their faces, standing close, vocalizing softly. These are not isolated incidents. They have been observed independently across multiple research sites, multiple continents, multiple decades. Science has a word for what elephants do when they lose a family member. The word is grief, and the behavior matches our definition in almost every measurable way. wild herds have been documented adopting unrelated calves, orphans from other families, nursing them alongside their own young. There is no evolutionary pressure to do this for an unrelated animal, and yet it happens. Their play involves role reversal, the stronger animal deliberately limiting itself to allow the weaker one to compete. Self-handicapping, apparent rule-following, all markers of advanced social cognition, the ability to model another being's experience and adjust your own behavior accordingly. Empathy requires understanding that another being has an inner life. Elephants appear to understand exactly that. There's a conversation happening around us, constantly, that we cannot hear. Elephants communicate using infrasound, frequencies below the range of human hearing, that travel through both air and ground simultaneously. A call can travel up to 10 kilometers through the earth, received by other elephants through their feet and the sensitive skin of their lower trunk. They have over 70 distinct vocalizations, a vocabulary of sound that researchers are still in the process of mapping. And in 2024, research confirmed something that had been suspected but never proven. Elephants call each other by name. Not by imitation, by using a unique individualized call for a specific individual that individual recognizes as referring to themselves, the first confirmed case of this behavior in a non-human animal. They have been speaking to each other across distances we cannot hear, in a language we are only beginning to understand. In every elephant herd, there is one individual whose role cannot be replaced by any other. The matriarch, the oldest female, the one who carries in her memory what no other individual in the group has experienced. She knows where the water is in drought years that happen once in a generation. She knows which humans are dangerous. She carries the map. Studies show herds led by older matriarchs have measurably higher survival rates. The older the matriarch, the better the herd's decisions under pressure. When a matriarch dies, the loss echoes through the herd for years. Younger females make poor decisions. The herd becomes more vulnerable. Survival rates drop. She is not just the leader. She is the memory of the herd. A century ago, 10 million elephants moved across Africa. Today, the number is approximately 415,000. What we lose when we lose an elephant is not simply an animal. It is decades of accumulated knowledge. It is a matriarch whose memory cannot be recovered. It is a family's capacity for grief and empathy and communication. All of it gone. These animals have been on this planet for millions of years. They have outlasted ice ages. They have built social structures of extraordinary complexity, passed knowledge between generations, grieved their dead, named each other. They have been doing all of this, quietly, for longer than our entire civilization has existed. They deserve more than a century of us. Which part of the elephant's inner life surprised you most? Drop it in the comments, and if this video moved you even slightly, share it. These animals deserve to be known. We post a video like this every single day this month. Subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's. For now, I'll leave the elephants to their conversation. The one we're only just beginning to hear,